128 hours later, and here we are. Oh man. Oh man. I'm not gonna get all gushy yet, but I will say this has been an enjoyable almost 2.5 years playing Ace Attorney. It has been fun. I've grown as a person. These games have got the better of me at some times, and I've got the better of them, but there's still one more to go. So, without ado, let's finish the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. February 10th, 3:36 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 7. Alright, here we go, man. Here we go.
Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the test we had performed earlier.
Tests? From the dagger, dude.
Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree.
Oh, yeah. That. I totally forgot about that. I was looking at that throughout the entire previous trial. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or...
Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty.
Oh. How does that work?
The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood.
Yeah, if I'm in the crowd, I'm going crazy too.
That is all. Now, let's restart this trial.
So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. So who the hell got stabbed? Then whose was it? Found stuck in a pine tree in Inner Temple Garden. The blood doesn't match the victim's.
I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims.
I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak and physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly. Agreed. God, it's like I'm giddy.
Very well. Please bring in the last witness.
Hi, everyone. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Fey. My profession is, professional shit starter. For the past 3 years. Aw, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Company Law Offices. Maya.
According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Curane channeling technique.
I'm frightened. The Fey clan. I don't want any more to do with it. That shouldn't be funny, but it is. It's funny because, bro, I was going to say every case that she's been involved in has been because of that, but that's absolutely false. It's literally just the Morgan Fey one. Episode 2, Justice for All. I want nothing to do with it. Oh my. The pain of the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable. Facts. Bro. She... Like I said in the previous video, she has some scars, man. They cannot be healed.
Very well. Now then, Miss Faye. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Dunham's murder. Is this correct?
I didn't see what she said there. Straighten up this instant, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. You don't cry in front of your client, in case you've forgotten. Is my mic okay? I'm paranoid. This is the last video. I want everything to go good. But I... Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Oh yeah. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen?
Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor. Oh my god, I haven't done Maya's voice in a while. I really don't know her voice. Okay, testimony for At the Inner Temple. Wake up, me, come on, man. I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. And suddenly, someone struck me over the head. That part is so funny at first. Not in this instance, but still. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me, That's when I lost consciousness. Something warm splashed over you? Yuck.
So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been this staff.
Maya, the person who hit you. It was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. What did I just say? Ha. I low-key want, like, his visors. I might look for those. Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone.
It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination.
Maya, hang in there. And I apologize for... and I apologize for potentially yelling at you. She doesn't look well at all. Right. Okay, I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me." Then something warm splashed over me. Yuck. That's when I lost consciousness. Oh my god! I just want to try it. No? Okay, thank god. Let's just press. Who else was on the inner temple side that night? Well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well. On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. Facts, there was an entire investigation video where we couldn't go over to Inner Temple. And who was the only person that was on Hazakura's side? Well, sorry, only people. Bikini, Laurice, and Iris, I guess, because she was arrested. Right, they said she was meditating in her room or whatever. That means she couldn't be the criminal. You wouldn't highlight that text if you weren't trying to be slick, Capcom. I have my suspicions about Bikini still. So then, did Iris actually come later like she said? Well, let me think. She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired. No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Suddenly someone struck me over the head. Who did it? Who hit you? Well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind. You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was? Right. Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry. I just can't remember. Maya is really having a hard time. What should I do? I want to leave her alone because it's Maya, and she's tired, but if I press her harder, maybe she'll remember something? I don't know, shock? Come on. Come on, Maya, this isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person? Well, let me think. It was, Oh yeah, that's right! It was dark, that's it.
It was dark?
It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training.
Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime.
Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not.
Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely
the spirit that was channeled by Elise Dunham, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Very well. Please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head?
I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. Okay, that's interesting. What happened afterwards? My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think. You think? After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my head at the time.
Well now, this is beginning to get interesting.
So what were the two things rolling around in your mind? What? My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, look past it, but just go with it anyway. You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was. Okay, that's fair actually.
That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable, given the circumstances. So, what did you do then?
I think I screamed, "Help me!" Yeah, why? I didn't mean to say why, I meant like really? Okay. You think you screamed, but you're not sure? Listen, I was a complete wreck! It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker! Stop pressing me! Was it a man? A woman? An adult? A child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes.
You didn't have to share that. I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought it was my last hope. Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya was really out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Do I press her for more details? Done. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff? What? What do you mean by your last hope? No, that's what you said. You said my last hope. Huh? What? I said what? Is she okay, actually? Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me." Yeah? But you testified that you screamed because you thought it was your last hope. Oh. Well, you know, that's like, what do you call it when that happens? Maya's not doing so well up there. Dude, is this testimony even probable? Or, like, even, like, admittable anymore? She's obviously, like, not scared, but... Oh, yeah! Oh, that's right! I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at. Ooh, isn't she... What, you saw someone else? What did you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. What are you talking about? That's who I was screaming at to help for... What? Ah! What is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out. Huh? What?
Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying?
It's like she's trying to hide something, man.
Behind the attacker, there was another person?
I am... Well, I meant to keep that part a secret. What have I done? What do you mean, what have you done? Tell us everything, that's what testimony is for! It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. A ton of pressure? You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber.
Witness, the information you just presented is vital to this case. I want you to add it to your testimony.
I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. Okay. This doesn't solidify it, but I will say right now, just for the record, bro, right? 20 minutes in, I had suspicions of Godot, bro. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is, when was the first time we saw Godot in this episode? Right? Where did we see him? On the inner temple side. Where was he? He was inside the training hall, right? Right? What was his excuse for not being in the trial, right? Like maybe before the bridge was fixed? Also, who would Diego Armando have beef with? Potentially, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Diego Armando is involved, bro. Godot is involved, bro. I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. Alright, anytime new testimony gets added to, I'll save. You saw a man? A man? Who was this man? Well, you see, I couldn't see. You couldn't see. She's used this excuse twice now. Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. Yeah, it wasn't lit, dude. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say. Under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time. And something warm splashed over me. Okay, wait. Oh, I didn't even see where it said behind the light of the stone lantern. Whoopsies. I could have just presented the thing. I didn't have to press that at all. So there was a man standing behind your attacker? Yeah. Was he about Godot's height? I was gonna say. That man. He's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. Facts, actually. He's the one who killed Elise Dunham. Otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. The killer? Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? She's kind of being apprehensive, yeah?
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
To be frank, Your Honor, I think she is in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony. Huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission. Huh? What? It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No! Damn it!
Order in the court? Mr. Godot, explain this.
I'm getting caught. Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of cafe au lait. Or whatever, I don't know.
Cafe au lait? Is that even legal?
What? Mr. Trite's words are the milk, and you are the spoon, Your Honor.
I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know.
You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say? If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony. Nick? May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman or an adult or a child. However, and yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker. No! What do you mean, no? We're trying to help you! God, this is confusing me.
Order. What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Objection. Trite. Do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene. There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Nani? Shit, hold on. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark, and now you're trying to cover for him.
Cover? For the man that killed her mother?
There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is. I gotta chill, bro. I'm excited. Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please. I'm begging you. You talk a good game, Trite. But let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please, stop. I is dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth.
Alright, Mr. Wright. Time to show us what you've got. Who was this person you say Miss Faye saw in the darkness?
Am I actually supposed to guess correctly right now? Or what? Or what? Oh wow. Are you really supposed to like catch on to something here? I mean, I'm right, but like at one point okay, whatever. Okay, just roll with it. Just roll with it. It's Ace Attorney, bro. I know better. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? Oh my god, in a previous trial, didn't the lights go out and we could see Godot's visor? Is he about to do that right now? I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes? Bailiff, kill the lights! Kill the lights!
What? But how do you propose to show us something like that?
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night.
Conditions?
Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off.
This is... But it can't be.
That is so creepy looking. That is so creepy looking. Oh my god. I was right, but like... okay, whatever. I'll talk about it after. That was a nice bit of deduction. Trite. That is so creepy, bro. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. I am in my room, yelling.
Order! Order! Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this?
Fuck.
Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it?
Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person.
What do you mean by that?
If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night, was it 3 glowing red lights?
Well, witness, answer the question.
Come on, Maya. Give me satisfaction, Maya. Come on. You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya! I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason. Oh, you're making... Okay, Capcom, you got me again. What?
Witness, Mr. Wright.
Stop your chattering, Your Honor.
Chia? Chattering?
If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... Testimony for the killer. Shelly the killer is back? No way. When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. Oh my god. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all of the snow around the lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Oh right, oh, for like blood, dribble, spread, whatever. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. No, okay, whatever.
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man?
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you are utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
Cross-examination, the killer. Shelly's back, bro. I can't believe it. Okay, when I came to, I was just lying there on the train. Okay. Again, right off the bat, I don't think we have anything, but let me just go over it again. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. All of the snow around the lantern had been cleaned up too, since the person did all that work alone. Bro, was Iris working with Godot? Whoa, I just had that idea. Whoopsies. The killer is certainly something. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all of that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Press. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right? Yes, I think it happened when the victim was stabbed. So then the person that carried you into the inner temple...
It could only have been the killer.
X. That's what I think too. So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. That's kind of sus. Wicked Garden has totally changed. Okay. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. Excuse me. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. Blood? I don't know. Maya, I'm sick of that answer, girl. Come on. Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. Or energy. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. Okay. Okay. I have to keep that in mind, so we're coming back. We're coming back to that one. Which one was that one? The place had totally changed. Okay. The torches were lit? Yes. That's how I noticed the whole scene had changed. I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be?
The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body?
That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. Oh my god, the only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the Ender Temple, Maya.
Very well. Let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd, right? Yeah, it's just like a perfect... Yeah. The snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern. Yeah, with that broom or something? There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away?
Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. I just can't pronounce words sometimes.
Perhaps. However, there's something that still bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount.
That's true. Could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. All of that snow was stained with blood? What?
It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So, you're saying that you never saw the killer, right? Yes. But earlier, you clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker. That's still testimony. Nick, I'm sorry. Killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. For what purpose? Why do all of that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Yeah, I agree. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes. I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me. For my sake.
What? Hiding it for you?
NNG. Oh, you know. Okay, this even proves it was going on even more. Okay, why else would he clear a weird shaped thing around the entire thing? It's because he can't see the blood, right? He can't see it, so might as well just do the entire thing around the lantern, right? That also proves why Maya is still scribbled on the lantern, because he can't see it. Bro, this is so... Oh, okay. Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden... She may have thought that you had done it.
No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yes, I'm sure of it. Okay.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened. They did it for your sake. Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right? Your name is scribbled on the lantern, bro.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, and if that happened, the body would have been caused by would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Curain killed by own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle that. Yeah, facts, bro. Jesus Christ.
But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you?
I don't know. Well, how else should I know? Yeah. The body of Elise Dunham was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then, at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all of this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh? And what would that be? He knows it's there. We called it out. He should remember. If he doesn't, I have a better memory than Godot does. You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. Fuck. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off of the lantern? It's because they couldn't see it, bro.
Oh! You're right. Order, order. But Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene?
Indeed. But it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Yeah, bro, you can't see red. Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Oh my gosh. Okay, see, I figured this out, but not knowing Capcom, bro, after this, they're gonna throw something at me that's either new, or something that just completely messes with me and I mess up. Well, let's see.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern?
Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. I can't speak clearly. My delivery as, like, Maya or just females in general is terrible. You're right. There is no way any normal person would.
What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright?
There's only one person involved in this incident. Who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether?
And who would that be? Who is the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing?
Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot?
Fuck. Every time, bro, every time. That's not a naughty moment for him, that's a fuck moment. This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This is exactly what I called out.
This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood.
Nonsense. This lantern is as clean as a whistle. Oh man. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? No, he's silent on this one. Yeah. You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Tribulations. Did I really not notice it? Hold on, what did he say? This is the apron that delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on.
There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be?
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over the apron.
That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain. Okay, I remember this, but I didn't think anything of it because quickly after this, he followed it up with the ketchup incident, right? Or was that somebody else? Bro, how did I not remember that? You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Shit. It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them?
So then, Mr. Goat, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern?
Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. Oh, this man. I wasn't sure about it until now, I was, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer, but there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Everybody shut up. Jesus. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Dunham, also known as Miss Misty Faye. Mystic Misty Faye.
It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact.
I hope that's how you pronounce that.
About you.
Ha. Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? NANI? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What color is that shit? This is unreal, man. Oh my god. In the snow.
The snow? How so?
Well, for example, why did the killer move move all that snow at all? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area?
Yes? Why didn't he just take out that area? Oh! Could it be?
Oh my god. Yes. The killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. When did I call this out? I don't know. Initially I called the Godot thing out a half hour ago, but in terms of the snow and the name on the lantern, I don't remember when I called that out. And so, he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? No, at this time the lanterns were lit. Yeah, not a chance. The torches were all lit. How would he have been able to? He would have been able to see just fine.
It seems that once again, This trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot?
That was Maya, yep. Wait just a minute. Maya.
What is it, witness?
Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place. It's because he was trapped over there, bro. Come on. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Yeah, I called that out too, bro. Oh my god. I swear I didn't look anything up. I swear. Maya.
NANI?
You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I mean... Eek! After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. Facts. Yeah, facts. Soon after the murder happened, bro, she switched to Dahlia Hawthorne real quick. Yeah.
She didn't. I'm afraid I don't follow.
Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. Maya, stop. Do you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost, bro? How old is Godot? We don't know. How old was Diego Armando? I'm trying to think, like, I know they must have a personal connection, obviously, because of, like, Mia, but I'm trying to think if there's something else. If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Nicely done, Trite.
Very well. Let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearly was there at the inner temple too. Shit. Witness testimony after the incident. Right. Okay. Pearly was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. Yeah, facts. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. She found Pearly first and cheered her right up. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly?
Oh, that's my little cousin, Pearl Faye.
So, when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a little while ago, while I was in the medical office. In fact, Mr. Godot told me.
I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, you can't testify. Yeah. Facts. So what, that whole testimony just gets thrown out?
But what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on. Pearly would never tell a lie. Oh, okay, Pearl's told her. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. That is wrong. Yeah. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness.
Mr. Godot?
Let's just move on to the cross-examination, if the defense has no objections.
This is highly unusual, but... Well, Mr. Wright?
Let's get this cross-examination started, Your Honor. This is cool so far. Dude, an hour goes by so fast when playing this game. Good God. Okay, Pearls was also stuck on the inner temple that side. The next morning, she looked around, but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up. Oh, it was impressive. So where did you think Pearls slept that night? In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training. Even though we all did that.
But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place?
It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya. That is false. What are you talking about? We have a letter that states that she was... She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense. Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, right? But she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Dunham. Right. Oh my god, I keep forgetting about that. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anybody. She searched the entire inner temple side, end to end. Well, you see, Pearls gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there weren't that many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times. The inner temple side has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room. There's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it. There's a storage shack too? Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully? Gee, I don't know, Nick. Like, well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible that somebody may have been hiding in the storage shack.
Well, gee, if there are shovels in the storage shack, then yeah. Next day when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge? What do you mean? I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge. Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night, that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl, all alone like that.
Well, we know that she had at least one friend in the sacred cavern. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the TRILOGY. She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls. In fact, she even stated so, right? So what happened after the bridge was finally fixed? So Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. Okay. So it was your first time on the inner temple side, Mr. Godot? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense just ask me a question?
Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness.
No. What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor.
Touche. Touche, Mr. Wright. Touche. 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 You got me, Mr. Wright. Got him. Oh well. What do you have to say, Mr. Godot?
Hot nights, and even hotter coffee. That's what I always say. If it hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains? I think I'll pass. So he had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh? Heh. You want to say something, Trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. Okay, at this point, bro, it is either Godot, or frankly, someone's trying to frame Godot, while also trying to frame Maya. Like a double frame job, you know what I mean?
What?
But I really... Okay, it's not. Okay, I can't get any ideas now. Well, I cross-examine Maya, that is, right.
Very well, please go on with your testimony. After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the inner temple side, right?
Yes, then Mr. Godot. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up. He cheered her right up? That's what Pearly said. She said he was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
Get it out. You're making me blush. This guy's really beginning to get on my nerves in more ways than one. The truth is there aren't that many places to look on the inner temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with the fine-toothed combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way. Godot style.
I'm the same way. I like to hand down verdicts in my own way. Judge style.
Maybe I should ask some questions. Phoenix style. Trickster. Gunslinger. Yeah. Hell yeah. When is DMC 6? Godot's investigation, man. What did you do? You said that you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, Trite. After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. I'm spitting real god. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Faye, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could you find a stranger way to describe gravy?
So from there, you headed for the prep room. Prep room?
Wait a sec. What did Godot say just now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. What are you talking about? There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? Oh! Bro, if this shit is covered by gravy, how are you supposed to know that's Misty Faye? Oh! No way! Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the inner temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed at least Dunham. Okay, so how do I present that? Hold on. Hell yeah. Mr. Godot. The first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the inner temple, was long before the murder took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up, and I caught it. I am on it, dude. 3 games of Ace Attorney, and here I am. The hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll?
But, Mr. Godot is right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but here's something you didn't know. Pearls gravely roasted her. By the time the bridge had been repaired, 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this. Maya's like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
What's that wonderfully delicious smell?
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? But why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that this was Misty Faye. He's gonna try and point out the thing at the top, right? The symbol, which is connected to this, worn by Elise, right? The talisman, right? But I'm gonna point out it's red, so he couldn't have seen it, right? Wait a minute, Nick. But at the same time, that would put him at the crime scene. Yes? take another look at the hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there. Oh my god, dude, I am reading this last video like a book. Ah, that. It's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So, if you know the meaning of the mark...
Then you could guess that it was a picture of Misty Faye on there.
No. No way. True. But Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Yeah, or that. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Oh. Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he'd pretty much described, yeah, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Or, yeah, that too. I agree. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the inner temple long before the crime took place. Can I ask you just one little thing, Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene. Huh. Of course Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh?
What did you say?
Stop, let me save. Is it really possible that another person knew of that plan?
What have you done?
What?
Mr. Wright. At this stage of the game, a mere guess is simply unacceptable.
What are you talking about? What? So in the end, you were just bluffing, huh? Ow. I just lost! No way! When was the last time I saved? Ah, okay, morale is still high. Morale is still high. That's enough. It wouldn't be Ace Attorney if I didn't lose, bro. Even though that's only happened... I think that's happened once per game. Is it?
Yeah, this court sees no reason, nor is there any need for time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Iris of Hazakura Temple.
Yeah. Accused will surrender. I can't even load, too. This court immediately. Be held pending trial at a higher court. Yeah, that is all. This court is adjourned. Damn. Damn. That's so crazy that they just bump you back to the main screen, bro. Come on. When was the last time I saved? 7 minutes ago? Damn. Speedruns of Ace Attorney, dude? I think so. I can have a pretty good memory, I'll be honest. Hold it. Yeah, wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Let me just save closer to where I was. Oh, is this where he says, can I ask you a question? Yeah. What is it? Yeah, certain. Okay. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. Opened once before. Okay. Of course I do, huh? What did you say? Okay. Is it really possible that another person knew of that plan? Oh! Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay. I was right. Oh, god damn it. Alright. See, I thought they wanted me to pick a person, right? Okay. This crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future, and these instructions were hidden somewhere in Fay Manor for a year. Hello. However, by the time Little Pearls found these instructions, they had already been unsealed.
Unsealed?
Yes. The killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was to take place at the Inner Temple. And you still insist this crafty killer is me? You bet I do. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right! Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. No. If he really wanted to know, he had one... If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out.
Yes? And when was that?
During a visit. A visit? Morgan Fay told her daughter, Pearl, about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would be the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden.
Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center?
Yes. It could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot.
Order! Mr. Godot, you're under fire again.
This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have acquired this information before the murder. Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee.
What are you blathering about?
Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean?
It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit where he learned of a hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the Inner Temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness?
Oh, I lost it there. I lost my, gravelly, effect there. That's right.
If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? Frankly, I don't know. This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her.
All I do is drink coffee and prosecute.
I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress.
The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural.
However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? Oh my god, dude. Come on. An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs. And Maya knows, too. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Maya, I'm sorry. I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot. For the same reason, huh? For the same reason, huh?
Okay, Trite. I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you.
What's this?
There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. I better not be wrong about this, dude. Come on, man. It's Mia, no? Because... There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That's when you were a defense attorney.
Wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney?
With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot. His real name is Diego Armando. Isn't that right? Oh my god, dude. This is so just satisfying.
The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago.
I knew this music was gonna come too, bro. I'm gonna cry.
Diego Armando. That name rings a bell.
It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. I actually want to cry. A case in which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia's first time in court, the tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. I hate that sprite so much. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney at the office where Mia worked. It's my fault. It's my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself.
Mia, you can't cry yet. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
I want to see a tear come down from behind his visors, bro.
I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure, sweet heart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial. We met in the courthouse cafeteria.
Ah, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned.
Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee.
Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press.
But you weren't dead at all.
No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep, deep coma.
I see.
My body shut down, and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight, and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused.
That's terrible.
Apparently, it was a miracle that I ever regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee.
5 years? You were asleep for 5 years?
and the worst possible news was waiting for me.
The story of Diego Armando, bro, is tragic. Oh my god, that's so sad.
Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I had already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I loved had been murdered, and the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death.
The woman you loathed?
The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Sentenced to death, bro. She was killed last month. What do you mean? You had time.
Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up.
That's really fucking sad. Dude, I got, like, my eyes are watering, bro. I'm not crying because I'm trying to hold it back, if I'm being honest. Oh my god.
For someone like me, for someone who had slept away their best days, there were only 2 reasons left to live. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor.
If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live?
The first was you, Trite.
Huh? Me?
If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fey would never have died, much less the way she did.
Nani?
You were the only one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault.
It wasn't like that.
I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were.
So that's why you became a prosecutor?
My other reason for living. She goes by the name of Maya Fey.
Huh? You mean me?
You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia.
Not Dr. Gray again.
1 year ago, when the Curain Village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fey was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. To stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her.
That's how you overheard Pearls' visit with Morgan at the detention center.
I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep that girl from being caught up in it.
That makes sense. If Pearls had known that the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out. Excuse me. I'm gonna save just in case, or just in case, just in case.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contacted both of my accomplices.
Accomplices?
Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Fey. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Fey.
But how did you contact my mother? She had been missing for almost 20 years.
Officially, yes.
What? What do you mean, officially? God damn.
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government?
Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Kurain had great authority. Facts, she did say that, didn't she?
Even without her official position, Misty Faye still wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time.
And no one has said anything to Maya?
That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor.
So my mother was cooperating with you? I'll hit that too.
Don't ever forget. No matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you.
She was always...
That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff.
Her staff? The one with the sword in it?
The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then, just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fay, if necessary. Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother? Oh my god.
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
You mean pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne.
Well, Pearl, what are you going to do tonight?
Well,
If you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together, What do you think about that, huh? Little forehead?
We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan, but she never showed up.
She was worried and followed me to the inner temple.
That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body.
What? What do you mean?
So Pearls couldn't. If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself.
As Master of Kurain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This case is crazy.
What? Is this true?
My role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple, just in case you needed to be saved from Dahlia.
Godot.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to. Trite.
Huh?
There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense attorney. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself. Fuck you, man.
The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's just one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim? There are only two possible suspects right now. Maya Faye, and I'm sad to say, you, Mr. Godot.
Well, Trite, if you're the real deal, then finish this thing once and for all. Show us beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can finish this on your own.
No! Nick! Please don't!
Maya.
I heard the whole thing. From my sister. In the medical office. That's why That's why I have to protect Mr. Godot. What? I can't do it. I can't testify against him. After all, it's the man who put his life on the line to protect Mia. And me too. What? Maya! I know that! Nick. But even so, it doesn't absolve him of his crime. God damn it, man. Please, Maya, testify.
Miss Faye, your testimony, please.
This is the final testimony. Don't bother trying to hide anything, because I'll know. I want to hear the truth from your own lips. I understand. I'm sure you're right. I'm ready now, Nick.
All right, young lady, tell us about the moments before you lost consciousness. What exactly happened at the time of the murder?
She said a warm splash came over her? What the heck is that about? The time of the murder. Just before it happened, I think I saw some red lights. 3 of them. I thought I'd ask for help, but just then I was splattered with blood. She wasn't dead though, and she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness.
Oh. These red lights. I thought you said you don't remember seeing them.
I'm sorry. I thought I saw them, but then they disappeared all of a sudden.
Ha! Things break, Trite. Even the best of theories.
What?
Who was it that stabbed Misty Faye? It looks like you still can't prove it.
Maya is telling the truth this time, I know it. The rest is up to me.
Well then, Mr. Wright. Proceed with your final cross-examination of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy on Steam.
Cross the time of the murder. You know what would be fire, bro, if the sad music was playing? If they made a super obvious testimony and they played the sad song, and it was to, like, you know, either incriminate or something, kind of like a, oh, I don't want to do it, but I have to type thing, I would cry. You'd see me crying for real, for real. Just before having, I saw some lights, 3 of them. I thought I'd ask for help. Just then, I was splattered with blood. You sure? She wasn't dead though, as she struck back at the enemy behind her. Suddenly, the red lights went out, and the whole area was dark. Just at that moment, there was a horrible scream. Right after that, Dahlia collapsed and I lost consciousness. I'm gonna press. Did I save? Lights shining in the dark? I don't think you could make a mistake about that. Yeah, you're right. I think I saw them, but I can't say for certain. And I can't tell for sure they were from Mr. Godot's mask either. I don't get the feeling she's covering for him anymore, but just after that, you turned towards the lights and called for help. Isn't that because you thought the lights were coming from Mr. Godot's mask? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's what I was thinking at the time, but I can't remember. After all, there was a person I couldn't identify in front of me. Maya's life was in danger at the time. There's no way she can remember the details of the scene perfectly. Yeah.
Alright then, let's go on with the testimony. What did you do when you saw the red lights?
I thought I'd ask for help, but just... Okay, I didn't remember if I saved or not, so let me save. Splatter with blood. That blood. Was it Dahlia Hawthorne's blood? think so. Probably. Just at that moment, I heard a soft scream that seemed to be close by.
I heard a soft scream that seemed close by.
It was a woman's voice.
So that was when the killer stabbed the victim from behind with the murder weapon. Is that right?
Without a doubt, Maya was in the middle of a really dangerous situation. Anyway, the victim was stabbed by the murder weapon. What happened after that?
She wasn't dead though, she struck behind, yeah.
Struck back? How do you know that?
Well, you're right. I didn't see it exactly, but I could tell by the sounds of their breathing and movement.
Okay.
And also, the smell of blood.
You have witnessed more horror than any young lady should ever have to in one life. So then, what did you do at that time?
I couldn't move. I could just barely make out their shadows moving in the dark, but I had no idea what to do.
Could you still see the red lights you mentioned earlier?
Yes, I think so, but...
Testimony. Yeah, they flew off. Suddenly the red lights went out, and the whole area was dark. Red lights went out. What, his mask came off? They went out?
Yes. Suddenly I couldn't see them at all.
What could it mean?
If the red lights were coming from Godot's mask, and they went out right in the middle of a fight,
maybe the mask was damaged.
Or maybe it was knocked off. Or maybe the batteries ran out. Right, Trait?
Or maybe those little pinhead-looking lights just stopped working.
What could have really happened then? God damn it, man, come on.
Just at that moment, there was a terrible scream.
Hold on, okay, wait. Yo, did Godot get stabbed, low-key? Godot might have gotten stabbed. You feel me? I hate that it still says where at least Dunham was murdered. It's not. What do you mean?
A horrible scream.
Right. What do you mean by just at that moment? Do you mean the moment when the red lights went out?
Yes, that's right.
The scream that you heard then, was it Dahlia Hawthorne?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was a man's voice.
You tell me his mask visor got knocked off, and Godot said, "Ah!"
What? So that scream came from the killer?
It's gotta be it.
I think Dahlia Hawthorne must have taken the blade and attacked the killer with it.
False. That is false, bro. This is Godot's blood. No way.
And then the killer let out a scream of pain, huh?
After that, the killer stole the blade back and delivered the final blow, I guess.
Well, Mr. Wright, seems to make sense to me.
Sounds like a reasonable deduction, but I still kind of wonder. I'm sorry to say this, but that interpretation would create an enormous contradiction.
That makes sense. After all, my deductions are almost certainly never correct.
Remember the testimony she just gave before the killer let out a scream. Maya said she already Maya said she had already been splattered by the victim's blood. In other words, the blade and the staff had already been plunged into the victim.
Is that right?
She couldn't have struck back with a sword that was already stuck in her body. The weapon that caused the killer to let out a scream must have been something other than the staff. And I kinda know what it is. If you're so sure about that, then don't keep us waiting any longer, trite.
There's only one thing I can think of that could have been used as the weapon here.
If Dahlia Hawthorne had already been stabbed in the back by the staff, what could she have used to strike back at the killer?
Naturally, the dagger the killer brought to the scene of the crime.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
This dagger was found at the crime scene, stuck into a pine tree.
Yes, the detective found that this morning and brought it to me.
And naturally, he didn't think anything of it because he couldn't see the blood. I know it's silver, but like, Dahlia Hawthorne struck back at the killer with this. And she managed to wound him as well.
Objection.
Just because he let out a scream doesn't mean that he was wounded. For all we know, the blood on the dagger could have been from the victim.
Okay, so he does know. It's not. Yeah, we tested that. Have you forgotten that the blood was already tested? Since we learned it wasn't the victim's blood, it must be the killer's blood. It's not Maya's. The killer must have a wound somewhere on his body. That's fresh, right?
So you're saying the blood on this dagger belongs to the killer?
Exactly. A DNA analysis of the blood would prove it beyond a shadow of doubt. And yes, Mr. Godot, it would prove that it's your blood.
Nice theory, trite.
What do you mean theory? Come on. Let's prove it. Order in the court. Is this the end? Have I done it? Even he won't be able to change the results of a scientific test.
Ha! Let me ask you something, trite. Let's just say that it turned out that I was the killer.
Nani? I'm not pressing the button, whatever.
Do you really think I would be stupid enough to leave evidence like that?
What?
Just think for a second. This dagger was found this morning by a detective and brought to me. There was already blood on it, correct? But even so, I was the one who brought this dagger here to the courtroom.
Yes. What does that prove?
Well, if I really were the killer, I could have washed the blood off and then planted another person's blood on it.
Another person's blood. It can't be. That's kind of illegal.
In any case, there's one thing I can guarantee, trite. That blood, it doesn't belong to me. Not a chance.
What? What? Who does it belong to then?
In any event, it seems to be established that the killer was wounded.
I'm trying to think of who's hurt. Is anybody hurt?
All right then, witness.
Wait a minute.
What's the problem?
I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there's a big contradiction in Nick's explanation. Maya. Bruh. This dagger, you said that it wounded the killer. That's right. But if Mr. Godot had really been cut with the dagger, his clothes should be bloody or have a rip in them, right? Maya? Maybe he just changed his clothes. That'd solve the contradiction pretty easily. However, he couldn't have changed his clothes because he's been trapped over on Inner Temple since the murder. He had no time to change his clothes, right? What are you talking about? It's not that simple at all. Remember back to the day of the murder. Everyone that was on the Inner Temple side got trapped there.
That's right. And once the bridge was fixed and the police headed for the Inner Temple...
Yeah. Mr. Godot was already there waiting for them. He never had a chance to change his clothes. Fuck. God, man. Or you said order in the court. Well, maybe he brought a change of clothes with him.
But no one could have predicted the lightning strike that shut the bridge down. Why would anyone have brought a change of clothes?
Yeah. Did the judge just take smart pills during the last recess? Well then, maybe the killer took off his clothes before he committed the murder. That way he wouldn't get any blood on them. What the fuck are you talking about? That's impossible, Trite. You know how cold it gets up there at night. After a few minutes, with no clothes on, you'd be frozen solid. Yeah. Shit. So that's all you've got. I knew you weren't tough enough to finish this. Right now, if Mia Fey were here. If Mia Fey were here, she would have closed the book on this case already. If Mia Fey were here. So come on, Trite. Can you do it or not? Mia, you're trying to be channeled by Maya right now, please?
How about it, Mr. Wright? You've accused Mr. Godot of being the killer. But can you prove it? Have you gotten even one piece of evidence?
The question isn't whether I can prove it or not. The fact is, I have to prove it. That's the only choice I have. If I was taught... I was taught that it's one of the rules of being a lawyer. I can prove it. I'm going to bring your magnificent vengeance to fruition, just as you want it. Ha! That's good. A fighter till the bitter end, Trite. God damn it, I'm saving a lot. Since there's just one piece of evidence that can prove your point, why don't we go for the unlimited penalty? It's not like I only have 3 bars left. Are you trying to pressure me, Mr. Godot? Because it doesn't matter to me. I've got the one piece of evidence I need. Give me a break. You've got nothing, Trite. So what do I do at a time like this? It's simple. I've got to think outside the box and approach this from a different angle.
Alright then, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you've got.
I'm trying to save up until the most recent point where there's like no return. There's one thing I've demonstrated in the previous cross-examination. The killer was wounded. That was proven by the blood on the dagger.
But we decided that it was impossible for him to have hidden such a wound. If he had been cut by a dagger, there should have been a bloodstain on his clothing.
There's one place the killer could have hidden his wound.
What did you say?
Hidden? This is it. My last stand. I need to think about this from a different angle. Okay. I don't need to think about why there were no bloodstains on his clothing. I need to show how he hid the wound. It's the end of the line. The final stop, Trite. Let's hear what you've got. Where's this location where you say the killer hid his wound? Where's this location where you say the killer hid his wound? So obvious, it's not a location, obviously, that's dumb. It has to be a person, no? Okay, where's this location where you say the killer hid his wound? I don't want to pick a person, dude. But at the same time, if his mask was knocked off, he got hit in the face. If he got slashed under the face, his visor. What are you talking about? It's under his face, bro. Take off your visor. Right? Huh. I don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, I don't need to know. What I do know is that you'll never be half the lawyer she was. Isn't that right, Trite? Whoa, whoa. What was that? Was I right? Hold on. Whoa, wait. What? What was that just now? Mia? It can't be. This is the first time we're hearing Godot's thoughts? Wait. You're living on through him? Even as we speak, you're still hiding the wound. Is that supposed to be metaphorical or like... Okay, I was right. It's beneath your mask. During the fight, the red lights given off by the killer suddenly disappeared. Seconds later, the killer let out a scream. That's right, your mask went flying off your face. Mr. Godot, would you mind removing your mask? If you have a dagger wound under there somewhere, then I'd say this whole case is solved. Oh, come on, bro. Take off your mask. Come on. Please. Just now, I saw her spirit in you.
NANI?!
I never liked you. 6 years ago, you helped the woman who put me to sleep by hiding her bottle of poison. And then, while I was sleeping, you let Mia die. But you didn't care. You just kept living your pathetic, happy-go-lucky life. You even had the nerve to follow in her footsteps as a lawyer. I could never forgive you. That's what I thought. Mr. Godot. But I was wrong about you. I knew it from the very beginning. The truth is, the only person I could never find it in my heart to forgive was myself. Right? Yeah, was me.
Yourself?
I was the one that failed to protect Mia. Me, and no one else. I tried to avert my eyes from the truth, to escape from the harshness of reality. I just couldn't face Mia's death head on, so I ran. I hid behind a mask. I threw away my true name. I couldn't even deal with being a defense attorney anymore, so I quit. But you saved Maya. Yeah, that was my plan. Up until just now, anyway. What do you mean? Are you listening, Maya? If I really wanted to save you,
Then there's one person that I should have gone and talked to right away.
Who would that be? Are you talking about Nick?
But I didn't do it. I tried to get the help of Iris and your mother, but I closed my eyes to the most important man involved. Do you know why? The real reason?
No. Why?
I suppose I wasn't really interested in saving you at all.
Huh?
I think I was just trying to salvage what's left of my own broken soul. I was trying to make up for the fact that I couldn't save Mia. Nothing more. That's why I let you walk right into a situation that I knew was dangerous. Forgive me.
You're wrong. Shit, hold on. There we go. You put your life on the line to save Maya. The music just ended, wow.
Was it really for Maya's sake? Even I'm not really sure.
What do you mean by that?
That night, in the darkness of the garden, when I saw her silhouette.
That's fucking hard, bro. That is a hard picture. Look at him with the sword, bro.
A part of me must have known the truth. The truth that it wasn't really Dahlia Hawthorne standing there in front of me. Sad. It could have been Misty Faye, or even that little girl. But I still picked up the blade. It was like I was dreaming. I'm not sure exactly what was going on in my mind at that point. Was I really motivated by the pure desire to protect Maya Faye? Or was it something else?
It's Dahlia, bitch.
Was it my hatred for a woman who had stolen everything from me 6 years earlier? Could it have been simply a desire for revenge? I don't know. And now, I don't know anything anymore. I did learn something today, however. I finally realized that I was the arrogant one. I was just chasing an illusion. A fantasy. The stupid fantasy of defeating you in the courtroom. You were the one who made me realize my folly. You never ran away from Mia's death. Instead, you picked up where she left off, as a true defender of the people. In that one moment, I understood everything.
Mr. Godot.
I think you already know this, but if you don't, my name is Diego Armando.
Mr. Armando! I believe in you. I know you were trying to save me. Is he crying, bro? He cries blood? Holy shit.
Thanks.
Your wound. It's bleeding.
Did you forget already? In my world, the color red doesn't exist. These must be my tears.
Tears? Fuck, I'm so upset I have to voice everybody, bro. I'm crying. Come on.
Ever since I woke up from my coma, I think I've been waiting for this very moment.
Mr. Armando!
You do well to remember this, Maya. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over.
Holy shit, dude. Iris, get up to the stand, bro. We have to announce you not guilty. Kinda.
This time, it really is all over, isn't it? Defendant,
Yes, Your Honor.
although you weren't directly involved in the murder, tampering with the body and the crime scene is a serious offense in itself.
I understand, Your Honor. Mr. Armando explained that to me very carefully. I knew the risk and I willingly cooperated anyway.
Very well. Before I hand down my verdict, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, there is one thing. I'd like to say something to Mr. Wright.
NANI?
I want to apologize to you.
Apologize? To me? For what?
For the case 5 years ago, of course.
Jesus. Episode 1, dude, episode 1.
I just remembered. Weren't you poisoned by your own lover?
No, not exactly, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, emotionally I was poisoned. Even now, 5 years later, I can hardly believe it. She was going to do it. She was planning to kill me. Jesus, man. The devil. It's a lot.
It's not all that surprising. The two of you hardly knew each other.
Huh? What do you mean?
You and my sister, you only met twice.
You're telling me you were in on that shit too? Huh? We only met twice?
The first time you met was on that fateful day.
Dog swallow? Oh no.
The day she poisoned Mr. Armando in the cafeteria of this very courtroom. The next time you met her was 8 months later. You met her again on the day that she stole your cold medicine. And Dog Swallow was killed.
No way. It's just... It can't be true. I mean, during our whole relationship, we were...
For those 8 months, the woman that you thought was Dahlia Hawthorne wasn't actually my sister.
Huh? It wasn't Dahlia. Oh my god.
I hope one day you can forgive me, Feeny.
You mean...
That's right. I lied to you for 8 months.
This coroner's like, what the fuck is going on?
But why? Why would you do such a thing?
Ever since she gave you the bottle that day, my sister was trying to get it back as soon as she possibly could. Because of the police investigation and their surveillance, she couldn't move about freely.
So that's why you...
My sister, from the beginning, she was prepared for the worst.
Prepared for the worst?
She thought that you might somehow discover the truth.
God damn it.
That's why she was always ready to deal with you at a moment's notice. mean, she was ready to kill me, don't you?
She already had so much to answer for. I didn't want any more sins on her soul. I begged her not to do it, and she agreed to give me a chance.
And that's why you came to me? You came to get the bottle pendant back from me in her place.
But I couldn't get you to give it back. I failed at something even as simple as that.
Bro, she was trying to save him, man.
And I still couldn't get it back from you. Finally, my sister couldn't wait any longer. She didn't consult me about her plans for you that day. It was the first time that well, fuck. It was the first time that had ever happened.
That was a bit strange, wasn't it? Up until that day, you two were partners in crime, and she would confer with you.
I think she must have noticed.
NANI?
Noticed what?
My feelings for you. If I had found out she was planning to kill you, I would have done whatever was necessary to stop her, even if it meant her life, or mine.
Iris.
After spending those 8 months by your side, my feelings towards you, they changed.
I got something to say to you, too.
Yes?
You really are the person I always thought you were. Even after Dahlia Hawthorne was found guilty, I still believed in you.
Thank you.
Oh my god. How many cups... his name changed to Armando, look at that. How many cups of darkness have I drank over the years? Even I don't know. I'll tell you though. Right now, this one here is the greatest cup I think I've ever had. Don't you think so? Phoenix Wright. Let's go! Let's go! Yeah, I think you're right. How come the judge doesn't have one? Come on.
The purpose of this trial was to rule on the murder of the victim.
Elise Dunham.
At some point, I expect you will be tried for your role as an accomplice in this case.
I understand, Your Honor.
Very well. On the charge of murder, I hereby find the defendant.
No confetti? Okay.
Court is now adjourned.
Oh my god, man. Oh my god. Emotionally, bro, I'm drained. I'm drained. February 10th, 4:51 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1. Huh. So I guess it's all over. The way everything ended. Was justice really served? The man who risked his life to save Maya is being sent to prison by my own hand.
Of course, justice was served.
Hi, Mia. Mia, I want to go home. I want to go home, Mia. Mia, I'm so fucking sad.
I'm proud of you, Phoenix. Your defense was truly brilliant.
But I couldn't save Mr. Armando, the man who cared so deeply for you.
You're wrong, Phoenix. You did save Diego. You saved him in the only way possible.
You mean, with that verdict?
I think one day, you'll understand too. Phoenix, I want you to remember one thing. You were as good out there today as any defense attorney could ever hope to be. There's nothing more you can learn from me.
Mia.
You've accomplished something I wasn't able to. I owe you a great deal. Thank you.
Mia. Mia.
I'm sure we'll meet again someday, Phoenix.
Please don't go. Don't go, bro. Come on. I've handled lots of cases and seen a lot of things. And along this journey, I found myself asking just one question. What does it really mean to defend someone? I suppose today's case produced one possible answer. It's so good to see Maya, dude. Fuck, man. Can I give you a hug, bro? Please.
Nick,
Maya.
I guess it's just like my sis said.
Mia? What did she say? Whoopsies.
That night, when I channeled Mia to get her advice on what to do, this is what she wrote back in my notebook. Don't worry, Phoenix will save everyone in the end.
But
Come on, cut it out with that gloomy face.
fine. Fine. Fine.
Can't you see? Me, sis, and I'm sure Iris too. We owe you for everything you have done for us, Nick.
Oh, fine. Maya. How? How can you be so bright and chipper after all that's happened? I'm an emotional wreck right now. You should be scarred. For real, for real. You were brutally attacked. You even saw your own mother murdered. You want to add on to my emotional, like, injuries right now, huh? Franziska?
Still as softy as always, Phoenix Wright.
What the fuck are you doing here? Excellent work, right.
Huh? Mr. Edgeworth? When did you get back?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess no one filled her in on that. Edgeworth and Franziska have actually been helping me, believe it or not. Helping you? Right. That's right, she doesn't know that he was the defense attorney, right. If these two hadn't been here on the first day of the trial. Team players, man. The defense would have gotten away. The defense wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Wow, but where were you, Nick?
Have I got a story to tell you?
I heard he fell into a river and caught a nasty cold which forced him to sleep all day.
Yes. He laid in bed, shivering from his fever with Iris's hood pulled over his head.
Oh, ouch. Talk about embarrassing, Nick. You definitely need more training. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. And you too. Franziska?
I don't suppose... Yeah, Diego. Yep. No. Fuck out of here, man. There's room for me in this group hug. Is there?
Oh, Larry!
What's with the, longer than usual face? I realized something when I was reborn. I realized that Larry was never of any use to anyone. Not even once.
That's not true. Right, Nick?
What? You're... Oh my god. I have to present something, don't I? What are you asking me? Well, Nick, is it true? I've got a place in this world, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I knew it. Everyone would be better off if I were gone for good. No. Oh, yeah. Those portraits you painted, they were, really good. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? What? But, me? Why are you making that face? Huh, Edgy? Oh, well, yes, indeed. I certainly can't say that you lack resemblance. That they lack some resemblance. Do you really mean it? What about you, Franzi? Did I draw you well, too? Ah!
My beauty can't possibly be captured by a mere crayon. Don't make me fucking hurt you too, bitch. Nevertheless, I recognize the effort you put into it, and that's worth something.
So then you'll do it? Like you promised? You're going to model for my next picture book, Fonzie's Whip. Ah!
Don't get carried away.
Well, how about that? I guess painting portraits is the only thing I'm good at. The painting of Pearl was pretty darn good too, if you ask me. Huh? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen her around. Pearls. Where could she have gone? Normally she would have made a beeline for Maya.
Oh! I'll go look for her. Be right back. Hey, Pearly!
Right. You seem to be uncharacteristically puzzled. I suspect you are wondering how Maya can be so cheerful despite all of that has happened.
Yeah. To be honest, I can't understand it either.
Franziska. That's right. She lost her father fairly recently as well. Von Karma died? Wait, did I miss that? Or am I just misremembering? I don't know, whatever, let's move on. I think I understand how she feels. Maya is a much wiser person than she appears, and I think she realizes something. Now is exactly the time when she needs to be as strong as she can.
What do you mean by now is exactly the time?
I wasn't the only one that was badly wounded by this incident. In fact, there was someone that was hurt far more deeply than she. I believe it's for that person that Maya is trying her best not to cry. Someone who was hurt more deeply than Maya? Edgeworth, I think I'm starting to understand too.
Ow! Then tell me, Phoenix Wright, who is Maya Fey being strong for? Pearl Fey. Did I get it right? Let's go!
Maybe. Poor kid. After all, the reason that she worked so hard to follow the instructions was because she loved and believed in her mother, Morgan. It's for the good of the Fey clan. I'm sure she believed in every last word. She thought she was doing it for Maya. That's why she was so happy. Shows how truly devoted she is to Maya. But it's a cruel irony that it was her exuberance that led to this tragedy. Maya Fey's mother was killed, and Maya herself was put into the deepest peril imaginable. Oh my god, and that's exactly why Maya is putting on a brave face. She's doing it for Pearl's sake, until she can see her smile again. Oh, hey, pal. Oh, hey. Oh, so this is where you all were. Wow. Looks like we've got quite a... Ah! What was that for, sir?
Sorry about that, Scruffy. Just second nature, yeah. My whip seems to have a mind of its own.
What's up, Detective Gumshoe? Dab me up, brother. What's good, brother? What's going on? Oh, you know, this and that. Anyway, congrats on your win. Let's go out tonight, pal. Dinner's on me. My salary's just sorta kinda gone down by a teeny-weeny little bit, but it's alright. I made reservations at a first-class French restaurant tonight. Ah!
Pretty good work, Scruffy. That whip was your reward.
Can that whip pay the bill? Detective Gumshoe? You said a first-class French restaurant? You don't mean... très bien. Where else? I knew it. We're doomed. Come on. Let's go, everyone. Can't keep Maggie waiting, pal. Hey, you. Crybaby bitch. You're invited too. Oh, forget about me. Pearl and I will be at the loser shack eating potatoes. You know, Maya is taking an awfully long time to get back. She's still out looking for pearls. Oh, Maya, what's wrong? Where's Pearls?
Nick, what do I do? Pearly, I can't find her anywhere.
Huh? I'll bet she just went back home. That's all.
I thought so too, so I called the village. But no one has heard from her. This has never happened before.
As I figured, she has been badly hurt by this incident. She feels responsible for the tragedy that has befallen you, Maya.
But none of this was her fault. What should I do?
Detective Gumshoe.
Yeah, what is it, pal?
Could you guys go on ahead?
But what about you?
Maya and I will join you guys once we find Pearls.
Nick!
Don't worry about us, Detective Gumshoe. We may be a little late, but we'll definitely be there. We have a lot of celebrating to do tonight, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, but you're the...
Very well, Phoenix Wright. We'll go on ahead. Don't keep us waiting, right? We won't.
But where should we look? Where could Pearly have gone?
Let's go, Maya. There's only one place I can think of that Pearls might have gone to. I'm sure I don't have to guess, but still. All I'm saying is, bro, this place is like 3 or 4 hours away, is it not? February 10th, Hazakura Temple main gate.
Hazakura Temple?
For Pearls. I bet this is a very important place. After all, it's where this whole incident started.
What's this? You're all back again so soon? Sister Bikini? I thought we'd be eating mashed potatoes alone tonight. So she's here? Pearly is here? She's in the training hall. Why don't you hurry along and go see her? Okay.
February 10th. The training hall. Okay.
Pearly's not here. What a lying bitch.
Oh, did she clean up Misty Faye's thing, maybe? Ah! Maya! The hanging scroll!
Ah! Someone cleaned it off.
It's got to be Pearls, but where is she?
Ah!
Oh, okay, I thought she was crying.
Mystic Maya! Pearly! Why did you just leave like that? Mystic Maya! Mystic Maya!
Yeah, she's super sad, bro. It's okay, bro.
I swore that I would never trouble the two of you ever again. Because it's all my fault that Mystic Maya's mother!
That's why you came here?
It's the least I could do. To pray for your happiness. You don't have to do that, Pearly. It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. Of course, I'm sad that my mother is gone, but how do I say this? I'm still happy. You don't have to lie just to make me feel better. No, really, it's true. The only reason I'm still here at all is thanks to everyone who was there for me. Nani?
NANI?
Oh, okay.
My sis, my mother, Mr. Armando, Nick, and you. If even one of you weren't there, I'm sure I wouldn't be alive right now. That's why I have to be strong. For all the people that were there for me when I needed them. That's all I can really do. Mystic Maya?
I'm impressed! You truly are the daughter of Mystic Misty.
Sister Bikini?
Your mother, Mystic Misty, was a strong woman indeed. I want to tell you what she said to me that night. Oh my god, man. Too many females. After dishonoring the good name of Kirain, I don't have the right to face my daughter. But still, Maya is always in my thoughts. It's true, she'll always be with me, until the day I die,
which is coming soon. I just don't know that yet.
Your spirit was with her, and that's why your mother was so strong. Even at the end, I'm sure she had no regrets.
She'll always be with me until the day I die. Huh.
NANI?
There's a rule or something all masters are to follow, isn't there? To never take the charm off until the day you die.
That's the master's talisman.
Holy shit. It's been 2.5 hours, dude. Get off me. The thing that Misty kept by her heart and would never take off. It wasn't the container that was important. Rather, it was the contents. If it's a picture, bro, I'm crying.
That's...
A photo? Mother?
It's only natural for living creatures to fight to protect their own lives. But what makes us human is that we fight for others. But who do you fight for? How hard must you fight? That's the true measure of what human life is worth. We defense attorneys are warriors who are constantly challenged by that question. Even when the battle is over, and the bonds that connect us are severed, we always return, time and time again. Mia, Maya, Pearls, Mr. Armando, and Maya's mother, too. I learned that from all of them. God, I can't read sometimes. Well, shall we get going? Everyone is waiting. This is a day to remember. A day when a lot of things were finally put to rest. I think we should celebrate what we've overcome today.
But I still can't.
Oh, go on, sweetie. You can come back for training anytime.
Okay. All right. I'm going to make a brand new start too. Sister Bikini, I'll be back for more training, I promise.
I know, and I won't go easy on you just because you're the future master. I'll make sure to prepare reservations for 3 when you come back.
All right. We're going to have a great feast today, Pearly. You know why? Because training is a battle of endurance. Okay, Mystic Maya. I'll eat lots and lots of food tonight.
You know, there's one thing I don't get and probably don't want to, but...
What is it, Nick?
Reservations for training is fine and all, but why for 3?
Come on, what do you think? You're one of us, Nick. Next time, you can train right alongside us.
Huh?
I'll be waiting for you. Sister Bikini will take special care of you.
Huh?
It'll be great, Nick. We're going to do the special course, naturally.
Huh?
That's a great idea. After all, Mr. Nick, you'd do anything for Mystic Maya, wouldn't you? Even walk on hot coals, right? We'll have a nice big meal right before we come next time. Right, Nick?
You know, I was wondering if I could say just one little thing. Just one little thing.
Sure, of course you can. Oh, I love this part. I can't wait to hear it.
I'm getting goosebumps too.
Well then, here goes nothing.
And that is it, dude. That's it. That's it. That's it. Master of Korean and the officer manager of, yeah, and I have to be a good sister to Pearly and Nick, too. Okay. I forgot about this. Well, as long as I'm not locked up or captured or something like that. Yeah, facts. It's not like you have a history of that or anything. Oh my god. I can't believe this piece of chocolate really didn't melt. That's crazy.
So it's true, Mr. Nick is really Mr. Maya's knight in shining armor. He went through with the special course all of the way to the end.
No shot he did that.
Actually, I heard there's a legendary extra special ultra course here too. I think I'll surprise the two of them by making them a secret reservation.
Oh my god, okay. Okay, a few more of these and then we're good, bro. Holy shit. The Capcom team is amazing, without a doubt. He changed his coat. Maggie brought me a brand new coat as a present, pal. I feel 10 years younger. I'll never take it off.
Yes, but somehow you just don't seem the same. I guess a dirty, shabby old coat is just one more detective-like, sir.
Don't worry about it. In the name of love, a man will soil himself silly. Oh. Oh my god, man. Yes. Oh, I completely forgot you existed.
Mr. Wright, I am once again in your debt. Thanks to you, the Treasures of Curain exhibit was a great success. I got to see Miss Von Karma, who I had not seen for almost a year. She taught me how to use a whip and said that I must show you what I've learned.
No. Alright, yeah, I'll take a phone call. I don't want to see you in person then. I will happily take a text, email, Facebook Messenger, DM, whatever. Forgot about this, man.
Desi and I started a company called Mask Star to Mask Consulting. We're dedicated to stopping the evil plans of all criminals in the city. Our motto is, cut it out, please! Pretty cute, huh? Yeah, well, we almost sell plans to criminals as a kind of side business. I wonder if that's okay. Sometimes I think maybe the worst...
I completely forgot episode 2 existed, bro. Oh my gosh. I just remember not liking that episode a whole lot.
I wanted to show my appreciation to Mr. Wright for exterminating Don Tigre, so I lent him $500,000 and a tea set, a special thick tea, one I mixed with my own 2 hands. I bet he's drinking it now. Win through compromise. He.
Ooh, okay. Come on. Like 1 or 2 more. A few more, come on. Where's Iris? I want to see Iris again. Ah! Not this guy.
I'm just an old man and in the way. A regularly grumpy clown-nosed waste of flesh. At least that's what I thought. But my grandkids had a pretty birthday party for me the other day. Talk about embarrassing. 69. And I cried like a baby with the diaper on.
Oh. Excellent music. Noriyuki Hiwadare.
As usual, we have an abundance of work to do. We hired a new programmer to replace Glenn Elg. I do hope everyone will get along. His name is Adam Mata. As soon as I heard his name, I knew our brain circuits would align perfectly.
Palindromes.
My! More reporters? Since the murder, we've made so much money, I hardly know what to do. I think the magazines like us provided because that's such a nice visual, especially in spring. I can hardly wait for Iris to come back.
Iris, please. Thank you, Masahiro Okamoto and Katsumi Marunaga. Special thanks to Kumiko Suakani.
Iris, you've turned into such a respectable man, Feeny. It was so sweet of you and everyone to come and visit me here the other day. Of course, I was happy that you constantly had your eyes on me, but I felt kind of bad when the little one slammed you hard because you got a nosebleed.
Pearls needs to get off, bro. Come on, man. Hey, Phoenix Wright. Ben Grauman Judd, okay? Objection. Edgeworth is Sion King. I hope that's how you pronounce it.
Objection.
Yeah. Oh, Mia. Okay. Mia Fey. Christina Catano. Okay. Okay. This must be like trilogy credits, because these were not in the first 2. Objection. So that was James C. Wilson. Francisco was Janet Sue. Can't forget about Winston Payne, bro. David Crislip.
What's this? I'm back from a long and tiring vacation and no one is here to greet me. I guess while I was gone, my little whippersnapper buddy quit and now I've got no one. And what kind of lonely, crazy security room is this supposed to be anyway? What with all the flashing lights and switches, I feel like some sort of space alien. And now what am I going to do with all these macadamia nuts I brought back for everyone? If I bring them over to Edgewood, I know... Okay. Oh. Bang, 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 bang.
Atsushi Inaba. Oh, you didn't forget about me. I finally found something I love to do. Franzi's whippity whip trip is gonna turn the art world on its head. I should have realized it sooner. Self-centered, lazy, antisocial. I'm an artist. A really good portrait artist. I'm not a loser after all.
Like, I'm not a loser. I'm an artist, man. It's in my blood.
Yes. Yes. What a fantastic game. Yes! What am I taking screenshots for? I can get them in editing. I should get 2 achievements just now. Yep. Bridge to the Turnabout, which is the final episode of Trials and Tribulations, and A Lawyer Only Cries When It's Done. It's over! Phoenix Wright Trilogy is over! What's today? Today is currently August 5th, 2021. I started the series back in like April of 2019, bro. Wow. I mean, if I just streamed this, it probably would have been done way sooner. I don't know if I would have voiced everybody had I streamed it, but I made a good choice recording this series. These videos are really stupid, dumb, long to edit, but honestly, they're my favorite videos to edit just because, I mean, things are happening constantly, like every single second, man. And also it brings my attention because I'm the one talking. I read the text. There's no voice actors saying the lines. It is literally just me. I don't know if I am like narcissistic in saying I just enjoyed hearing my voice as I was editing or whatever, but man, that was so fun. This was just a random thing too. I remember back in 2019, like a month before this actually came out, a trailer popped up on my recommended on YouTube. I'd heard of Phoenix Wright. I had no idea how the games played or how the series played or whatever. I just got done playing, did I just get done playing the Danganronpa trilogy, or was I currently playing it? I think I might have currently been playing it, but that I don't remember. I would have to look back. But this trilogy is awesome, dude. Especially this last section. Oh my god, you want to talk about like the entire game means something and not just, you know, every episode is its own individual thing. No. It all pieces together, man. It all pieces together like Godot's visor, man.
Like Godot's visor, man. Everything pieces together.
It has now come to an end. I'm sad that it is over. I'm not so sad where I'm crying, but like, God, this is one of those things where I wish I could go back and play it again. However, I did record it, and frankly, leading up to this point, I was watching my own videos that I had posted already of like the first game and the second game. Reliving those moments is kind of special to me. It's literally the only reason why I do these videos. I'm not trying to be an entertainer, primarily. It is literally just me sharing my experiences, sharing my reactions, sharing my choices, my decisions, my style of gameplay. I'm just sharing. I'm not trying to entertain first and foremost. This is a sharing experience, you know? That's what YouTube is for, just to share stuff. I'm sad it's over, man. This was such a joy to experience, and I'm happy that I'm able to share it. I'm so, I'm privileged enough to experience this, record it in a manner, and edit it in a manner, and share it, and yada yada yada. God, this was so good. But frankly, dude, it's time to take a break, because this is burnt out. Seriously. I mean, I'm good now. Like, if you look back at the previous 2 games, you know, it took me a while to piece things together, even though they were sometimes somewhat obvious, but I mean, this episode alone, okay, I lost, right? I got a game over, or a guilty, whatever you want to call it, but I came back. So whatever. I'm really bad at, like, leaving things off, you know what I mean? The trilogy is done. Phoenix Wright is done. And frankly, it's time to achievement hunt. It's time to achievement hunt, which frankly, I just like to do in my own time. That's what I did with Rift Apart. That's what I did with Coffee Talk. That's what I did with Life is Strange. That's just a personal thing. That's what I don't share. I don't share those experiences. Just, I guess, to finally sign off here. Again, just to reiterate, it was such a pleasure, an experience, enjoyable experience for me to record, edit, and share my experience with the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. I hope anyone who comes across my videos or watches them gets the idea or the, you know, inkling drive to somehow acquire these games and play them if they're interested enough, but I would recommend this game. It's very good. Games, sorry, the trilogy, whatever. It's one package on Steam, okay? Currently, since this is now finally over after 2 years, I don't have anything else going on my channel as of recording. Maybe as of editing and publishing this video, I started playing something else, but I don't know. The Ace Attorney trilogy is done. Now, since this is over, you see what else I'm playing as of publishing this, I guess. But if you want to see any of that stuff, subscribe here on YouTube or follow me over at Twitch with the link in the description, I guess. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is. You're staying healthy and safe still. And I will see you in the next playthrough, I suppose.